It's preparing. Just there we go.
Here's your God Call with Reverend Bill.
There is a wonderful metaphor for our consciousness, and it comes from computer programs. When you install a program on your computer, it runs and does exactly what the program was supposed to do. Sometimes there's a bug or a glitch in the program, in which case the computer doesn't do what we intended it to do, it does what we programmed it to do. And we can use the output as feedback to adjust the program so we wind up getting the results that we want. The same thing happens in our consciousness. So if you're not getting the result that you want, find a way to change the program. Thank you, Sonic Yogi. Wow. Wow, what a wonderful way to start this morning. And good morning, New Thought Philadelphia. Ah, yeah. So nice to see all of you guys. And pairs, Hannah and Carla Ann together in Philadelphia. Oh my goodness. And Sandy and Mitch outdoors in a celebration. Oh my goodness, what a fun time we have in store for ourselves today. You guys know the drill when we're on Zoom. Which is keep yourself muted except when we're sharing. And and God bless the technology, which struggled its way through just a little bit today. Let's open with a cacophony. Go ahead and unmute your microphone so that you can repeat after me. I open myself to love.
I open
I
myself to
open
love.
myself to love.
I open myself to joy.
I open
I
myself
open
to
myself
joy.
to joy.
I know something wonderful is blossoming now.
I
I know something
wonderful
wonderful is blossoming
now.
right now.
And love is right here as me.
And love is
Love is
right
right
here
here
as
as
me.
me.
And so it is.
So it
And
is.
so it is.
All right, go ahead and mute one more time as I remind you that New Thought Philadelphia is an open and loving community of spiritual adventurers, welcoming each person to experience their divine nature in an empowering space of unconditional love. So whatever path you've been on, whatever brought you to our Zoom today, wherever you're heading next, we have been expecting you, and welcome home. We believe there's one power, love, intelligence, or force that creates everything, including each of us, and that we are each using that same power, love, intelligence, or force to create our lives according to our beliefs. We like to say it around here, your new life begins with a new thought. If you have an electronic device which you are not using for the meeting and it's functioning, go ahead and turn it on silent just for the next hour or so that we can turn our attention within. I am Bill Marchioni, the spiritual director at New Thought Philadelphia. Our music today, coming from Atlanta, Georgia, is Sonic Yogi. John is there doing what he does. And we have practitioners for today. Joe Catanzaro, RSCP, is going to lead our meditation in a little bit. Carolyn Nixon was scheduled to be the practitioner of the day, and she is off getting her physicalness taken care of in a particular way. So I will do the opening prayer unless somebody else would like to open us in prayer this morning, in which case you can wave your hand and volunteer and be part of the group. All right, I got it in that case. So turn away from the world around you and go within and join me in knowing that love is unfolding right here and right now. There is one creative power and presence, one divine source of everything. Call it God, nature, spirit, the Big Bang, source, sweetie. Whatever it is that we call it, it is that one which shares itself as and through and in all of its creation. Everything is God's love taking its own particular form. That includes me and each one in this celebration, everyone who we encounter, and every moment, every activity, everything that is unfolding today. So this time that we spend together now is blessed. It is an opportunity for love to unfold, for infinite intelligence to reveal itself through and for and as each of us, for goodness and uplift to unfold. So I'm grateful for all of the words, all of the music, all of the ideas, all of the connections, all of the deepening. And so with gratitude for all of this good, I speak this word and release it into that creative law that creates everything. And I know it's now creating this. And so I let it be. And so it is. So if the reason that we do a prayer is because it changes something. It changes the way that the world is working, and it can change something on a minute scale, something very personal and seems like it's subtle for us, or on a grand scale. And there's lots of grand stuff that's going on in the world now. There are some things that that definitely have our attention, stuff that was different a week or two ago. And you know, as conflict erupts, as challenges present themselves, there is an opportunity for us to go into prayer, not to fix the problem, but to understand that something even bigger, something even better is possible, and to invite that in. So if anybody has a prayer work story, something that's been going on in your life, go ahead and raise your hand like Jane is demonstrating. Or you can click the digital reactions button to raise your hand that way. And you can give voice to whatever that was. Go ahead, Jane.
Good morning, everybody. So I've had this practical prayer going on for a while now. Our house was built in the early 1950s, and there have been a lot of things since we moved in that we have slowly been updating. And so I had been kind of pushing to do a demo in our dining room. It has these old, big built-in cabinets and shelves, and I hate them. And so finally, Breen said one day, I got a dumpster. We're gonna do the demo, and then we're gonna clean out the rest of the house too. And I was like, yay. So the time came, and Friday morning, the dumpster pulled up. And Breen and I also have COVID. So I was like, oh shit, you know, like are we even going to be feeling well enough to even lift one stick of furniture, let alone do a demo on the dining room? And so, I doubled down on the practical prayer because I was like, well, of course we're going to be able to do this. So thank you for Paxlovid, because I don't even feel like I'm even unwell at all. And Breen has plenty of energy. And not only is the dumpster here, yesterday, people, all the shelves got knocked out in the dining room by Breen. And we've got this beautiful blank slate now where we can do anything we want. And we're going to continue on, because another blessing is that Breen took off all next week so we could have a staycation and take care of some business around the house here. So I'm super excited. Prayer works.
I love it. I love it. Thank you, Jane. And congratulations. And I have seen Breen work with a dumpster before. He has the most organized dumpsters you have ever seen. Everything is lined up in wonderful order. Hannah or Carla Ann has a prayer work story.
Yeah, I am here in Philly, which is a prayer work story, and just had prayers for everything going smoothly with the flight, with the visit, get to see people and everything, and like Frontier Airlines did its thing and did really well for me, and staying with another friend, and now I'm here with Carly Ann. So yeah, looking forward to hopefully seeing some more of you this week.
Definitely going to see you on Tuesday. We are working that out. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful. Anybody else with a prayer work story? Okay, in that case, we will all grab your kazoo if you have it nearby, and we will introduce Karen Judd with the announcements.
This breezy information is on our website at newthoughtphilly.org and in our weekly e-newsletter. Please sign up on the website so we can keep in touch. We host a 15-minute meditation on Zoom twice every day. They're inspiring, fun, and quick, and everyone is welcome. The special episode of Reverend Bill's Practical Prayer podcast is What Makes Practical Prayer Different? Get it where you get your podcasts. Join in the live online recording session at 1 p.m. on Monday online. Follow our social media on Instagram, Facebook, Insight Timer, and YouTube. And join the 1,638 spiritual adventurers in our group on Meetup. The Power of 8 Intention Circle meets on Zoom every Monday at 6:30 p.m. The Women's Circle meets on Zoom on the first Thursday of the month at 7 p.m. The 90-day tithing challenge is underway now and includes a money-back guarantee that this powerful spiritual practice will transform your life. You can still join. Anton Thought Leader Thursday is on October 26th at noon with Reverend Dr. Deborah L. Johnson. She joins PJ Stanley to help demystify the relationship between sex and gender, male and female, transgender and non-binary in What's in a Pronoun? We are grateful for your tax-deductible donations by Zelle, Cash App, check, PayPal, Venmo, credit, or debit card. Thank you to the team that makes our Zoom celebrations work and has fun doing it. To join the joy, contact Sandy. Next Sunday online will be a talk, The Banquet of Life. Guest speaker Karen Judd talks about the harvesting and offering our light at the Banquet of Life, and will share some helpful side dishes of wisdom to help us work through our doubts. Live original music by Emily Drinker. Reverend Bill and the practitioners are available for professional sessions by appointment. And after today's celebration, Joe is available for a quick miracle moment prayer. We'll leave the Zoom meeting open for a discussion of prosperity, tithing, and the challenge. And there you have it.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Yeah. And we have a special gift and a blessing for people who come visit us in person for the second time. And we have a wonderful blessing for people who are with us for the first time. So, Sandy, are you surrounded by first timers? You're muted. You're still muted. There you go. I'm not hearing Sandy. Is anybody else hearing Sandy?
No, we're not. But
We're
we
not
know what
hearing
we're
you.
saying.
There's a great story there. Oh my gosh. So anyway, what we're going to do is we're going to welcome everybody who is feeling like a first timer. Going to rub our hands together, get some warmth going, and we're going to share a blessing. Go ahead. Let that love out. You are, we are, each of us individually and all of us together, the bright light of God's divine love. I am so grateful for the way that that light is shining and that love is flowing and the way that we are showing up. And so it is. So as John does the next song, we are going to go into that gallery view. Or if you're on a device, you can swipe through and make eye contact with the people who we're in celebration with today and in community with, and feel the connection. Absolutely spectacular. Thank you, John. That was wonderful. Carla Ann is going to do lead us in the flames of faith this morning.
Good morning, everyone. We perform this ceremony to acknowledge that all people and all faiths come from one power, love, intelligence, which we call spirit or God. We honor the richness that comes from our shared diversity and bless the interwoven energy of the divine feminine and masculine. We light the first candle for the Tao, honoring the universal path of harmony and equilibrium, the natural way. We light the second candle for the shamanic traditions, honoring the belief and practices of all indigenous peoples, the way of primal spirituality. We light the third candle for Hinduism, honoring the path of knowledge, action, and devotion. We light the fourth candle for Judaism, honoring the ethical path of living by sacred law. We light the fifth candle for all forms of Buddhism, honoring the Four Noble Truths and the path of compassion. We light the sixth candle for all forms of Christianity, honoring the Christ consciousness as the path of love. We light the seventh candle for all forms of Islam, honoring the path of submission to the will of God as the highest calling. We light the eighth candle for the universalistic religion of Baha'i, honoring the path of unity and peace. We light the 9th candle for all forms of new thought, honoring the medical physical path of mental healing to the practice of universal spiritual principles. As we light the healing candle, please put silently into the light the names of anyone or any place you wish to have experienced the healing flame of God's eternal love. And so it is.
We join together in knowing that somehow, in ways that go beyond our understanding, there is peace and love and healing unfolding in Israel and the Middle East. Blessed be. The reading today comes to us from Science of Mind magazine from a couple months ago, and it's going to be shared with us by Jane.
Okay. So the reading today is entitled Expect the Best. And there's 2 quotes that it starts with. The first one is by the German philosopher Goethe. Treat someone as if they are what they could become, and that is what one day they shall be. And the second quote is from Ernest Holmes. If we allow the world's opinion to control our thinking, then that will be our demonstration. We attract what comes into our lives. Our thoughts are like magnets. If we expect good things, that is what shows up for us. It's not the words that matter. It's about the words and the feelings behind them. Deep down, the question is, what are you expecting? Research shows that the single most important factor in determining how well a student will do in college is how they expect they will do. Holmes tells us that life is lived from the inside out. We have a power that never leaves us. You and I are the center of power in our life. Years ago, a survey asked respondents who they felt had lived the most successful lives. Some of the answers were Gandhi, Eleanor Roosevelt, Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. What struck me about the people chosen was that they all came from difficult backgrounds, but they managed to overcome them. In fact, no obstacle prevented them from living their dreams. The same power that propelled each of them resides within you and me. We too can live our dream and move beyond any obstacle. The affirmation is, today I expect only good to flow into my life. I set the intention to live my dream. There is no obstacle I cannot overcome. I know that what I expect life to show me is what I manifest.
Thank you so much, John. And you can find lots of Sonic Yogi tracks on Insight Timer. Wonderful way to deepen into your meditative practice. So good morning, good morning, good morning. I am going to talk this morning about emergence. And emergence was the theme of the Anton retreat that I was at and helped run at Unity Village a couple of weeks ago. And it was an absolutely wonderful experience. And we titled it Emergence a year ahead of time. And a lot of the speakers spoke in some way or another about emergence in their talks and their presentations. And it was, they came together beautifully, and it was tremendously uplifting. It takes place at Unity Village, and I showed you some pictures of Unity Village before. It's this Mediterranean area in outside Kansas City, and Mediterranean architecture. And the only place around there that is at Unity Village. You can see the tower from miles away, and it's the only thing there that looks like it. Everything else looks like fields and strip malls. On Sunday night before the retreat started, we went to a barbecue place in Kansas City, which of course is what you want to do. And as we're driving back, we crossed the state line, and saw Unity Village on the horizon, and realized, tongue in cheek, we're not in Kansas anymore. The view from the top, you can see this is this is what Unity Village looks like. So it's all that Mediterranean architecture. And then beyond Unity Village, it's just typical Midwest. View from the other side, you can see the labyrinth down there, and off to the top right is where the conference center is. That's where the group of folks got together, and we spent the better part of a week talking and learning and living and listening. And I'm going to talk a little bit about that and the experience there at Unity Village, and also want to invite you, if you have ever been called to go to a spiritual retreat or event, the Anton retreat at Unity Village is spectacular. There's going to be another one next October, first full week in October. And it's open to everybody. It's not just for ministers and people in leadership. Everybody is invited to attend. And as I think I've mentioned, it is a spectacular and uplifting experience. This year, it started with a concert, which was awesome. The two people in the concert were Daniel Nahmod, who was the music director for the whole week, and Nemo Patel. Nemo's the guy who is there wearing the Love All t-shirt. He has a really spectacular story. He grew up in Southern California, Indian American, went to Wharton, got a job in finance. So he was working for American Express, living the dream, making lots of money, living in Lower Manhattan, a block away from the World Trade Center, working at the World Trade Center, and was there on 9/11, not at work, but at home, when his office and his neighborhood came crumbling down. And so he took that as a cue to get out of the finance business and pursued his secondary passion, which was music. He was a hip hop artist, a rapper. He sings pretty well too. And we got into a band, was signed to a significant record label, and was doing a bunch of recording, going on tour and things like that, and had his life mapped out and thought he knew what he wanted to do with his life, to be an executive in the entertainment business, making $1.5 million a year, living in a house in Malibu. And then he realized that he'd have to have the $1.5 million a year job in order to support the house and the lifestyle in Malibu, and he didn't want any of that. And he saw a touring show of a dozen or 24 kids from a slum in India that had been put together by a mentor and a leader for them to share their story and share a message of oneness. Ekta is what they call it. And he was blown away. He's like, oh my God, there's so much more that's available in life than the stuff that I've been focused on. So he moved to India. He actually moved into Gandhi's ashram, and he says he gave away all of his stuff. He gave everything away. He says, not the money, he kept the money, but all the stuff he gave away, and decided he was going to go on a music fast, because he was in the music biz. He'd been in music. He was thinking about being a music industry executive. So he just said none of that. So he decided to go on a music fast. His friend, who was dropping him off at the airport to go to India from Southern California, said, hey, I got to give you a CD. This is just amazing. And he gave him Daniel Nahmod's Water CD, which is the one that Daniel Nahmod wrote after spending 3 months by himself in Moab, at Arches National Park in Moab, Utah. And so Nemo basically listened to that on loop for a couple of years, and it was brought to Daniel's attention that this guy is like living in India, serving the homeless, and this complete life of service, and his life is transformed by Daniel's CD. So Daniel's like, okay, what's up with that? And he contacts Nemo, and they introduced themselves. And Nemo said, I think that there are some tracks on there that would make really great hip hop music. And Daniel thought that, especially the song that he wanted to start with, which is called Planting Seeds. And Daniel describes it as being about the most Peter, Paul, and Mary song he's ever written, and couldn't imagine it being a hip hop track. But he said, okay, let's give it a shot. And so they started a musical collaboration, which continued through the Anton retreat, because the two of them did the concert together. And it wasn't just about the music, which was spectacular, but it was them telling their stories. And I mention this because if you subscribe to the Anton e-newsletter, which you can do by going to anton.org, then the free gift in the newsletter that's coming out in a day or two is the recording of the retreat this year of the two of them telling that story and performing the song together. So it's a little treat that you guys get to take advantage of from the Anton retreat yourself. And it was spectacular because the stories that we're hearing are all so real. People, I mean, to take a life in the financial sector and turn that into a life in creativity, to turn that into serving the homeless. Nemo has now twice auditioned and recruited a group of 16 or 18 teens in India and worked for over the course of years to get a show together, a really spectacular performance, and then taking them on tour, the United States and the UK. And the stories, the miraculous stories about how all the pieces fit together and how the groups coalesce and how they support each other. And even how the powers that be fit together. It turns out that bringing 16 teenagers, children from the slums of India to the United States is not an easy thing to get a visa for. And so the things work together to make that possible. And Nemo did a presentation on the second day of the retreat where he was talking about his experiences and how he did that and how his life has been transformed. And he gave everybody who was there a little heart that had been handmade in India because they like to take what the people there are offering up, and he buys them and then he gives them away. So everybody got a little cloth stuffed heart pinned to themselves as part of the exercise that we did there. And I got a wonderful drawing that was on handmade paper and hand lettered with some of the lyrics to Nemo's song Grateful, which you can also find online. And that was basically them saying, thank you for letting us come together and do this. And it's wonderful to be in that place where the pieces are all fitting together. And there was a lot of that went on that week. This is Jafan Seeley, along with me. Jafan is a young man who got into this teaching. He discovered New Thought in 2010. And it was at the church in Atlanta. David Alt was his minister, became his mentor, and helped him create a career that way. Here's a story of Jafan. You probably can't read this, so I'll read it to you. Astronaut of inner space. That's what he was talking about in one of his presentations, answering the call of ascension. He says, in this moment of now, we are all being called to rise, to ascend into greater levels of consciousness and awareness. In doing so, we effortlessly bring forth greater ways of living, increased peace, creativity, and compassion for others and ourselves. Goes on to say, let us turn our attention away from the external world and vast universe from which we've come and look at the infinite universe contained within. Let us become an astronaut of inner space and move through this abundant moment, recognizing our incredible gifts to give in this time on earth. And he does some speaking at churches, especially New Thought centers and communities like ours. And he also does a lot of work in the corporate world. And he brings the same concepts that we're talking about into the corporate world. I'm going to share one of his slides. This is the state of mind model. It's not original to him, but you look at the beginning and it's a usual sequence of cause and effect. There's mindsets and attitudes and beliefs. And everybody has those, and those create our behaviors. And those behaviors create the results, the activities and the things that we see in the world around us. And what happens in our lives and also in corporate America is that if the results that we are getting are not things that the organization wants, if we're not having an environment of inclusivity, we don't have a population of diversity, if we're not treating the we don't have gender equity or equality that's going on, then if that's not the result that we're getting, then what we want to do is we want to change something. And usually that involves behavior modification. That's a first order change. So we tell people we need to hire with more diversity. We need to treat people more fairly. We need to be more polite. We need to get more vegetarian food in the cafeteria or whatever it is that we're doing. And we try to change the result by changing the behavior. And to an extent that works, but it only works a little bit, because what we need to do is to get a second order change. And that's where the transformation happens, where we get to go back to the mindset and the attitudes and the beliefs and uncover what those are and make changes there. So that's the sort of thing that we talk about all the time. We talk about change your thinking, change your life. Your new life begins with a new thought. And it's not about changing the behavior. What we want to do is change the thinking that we're having and let that change the behavior. And that is what's going to create a different result. And that works across whatever it is that we're doing, whatever it is that we're involved in. Because it is that transformational way of making a change to our beliefs, to our attitudes, to the stuff that we hold internally and deeply, that we're able to change something in our lives and change something in the world around us. And there's a really horrible example of that that's going on in the world right now with the conflict in Israel and Gaza, that the result that's going on there right now is unacceptable. It is completely, it's out of hand. We've got terrorists that are killing people, and we've got armies that are killing other people, and the whole situation is completely unsupportable. And if we just try and change the behavior so that we get a different result, and leave all of those underlying beliefs the way that they are, let everybody believe what they believe and act the way they've been acting, and bring their biases and prejudices and previous concepts into it, even if there's a behavior change, it's not going to be long-lived. So that's another example of when we're praying for healing, when we're praying for peace, we can't pray for things to go back to the way they were 2 weeks ago, because there was people who were angry enough 2 weeks ago to have started what happened in the last 2 weeks. So do we need to go back further than that? Do we need to go back in time, 10 years or 70 years or 150 years or 5,000 years? Well, we can't go back in time. What we can do is go within, because those transformations and those changes happen one person at a time. And it's always an inside job. The beliefs and attitudes that we can change are the ones that we have. And that changes our behavior. And that in turn will influence other people and invite them to change as well. We can ask them to change. We can ask them to look at themselves, but we can't necessarily cause them to do that. There's another presenter there. Her name was Lisa Benson. And her talk was Emerge as the Best Version of You Through a Life of Learning and Unlearning. Unlearning is big. Emergence is a process of coming into being. It's the action necessary to become the best version of you. Be all in when it comes to leading with empathy, deciding to learn about others, and reaching towards your better self with intentionality. And here's a picture of Lisa. And that's one of her slides. I'm not expecting you're going to read the slides. She had some of the densest slides I have ever seen in my life. I'll show you some pictures of other ones there. And the interesting part is that the content in them was awesome. There's some wonderful things in there about internalized racial oppression and internalized racial superiority. And this is a Black woman who is doing this, and it's based in a lot of ways on the book that she wrote, which is called Anchored in Bias, Fired Over White Tears. And there's a lot that's packed into the title there, because Lisa spent 20 years as a news reporter and TV news anchor, local television stations, and also on CNN. And at one point, she reposted an article that was written by another journalist about the tendency of white women to get what they want through tears. And some of her coworkers objected, and she got fired over it. So this was not her article. This was a repost on her personal Facebook page of an article that somebody else had written. And she got fired, and she found through the course of the 2-week trial, the way that they were painting the picture of her as an angry Black woman, even though she was mostly beloved by her colleagues. The way that the defense was portraying her was to use all of the stereotypes that were available and coming up with evidence about why that was true. She wound up winning the case, but she's no longer in the TV news business. What she's done is she's devoted her life to doing work towards eliminating or reducing bias. This is inclusive learning demands cultural curiosity. She says that we need to acquire, inquire, and interact. We need to ask questions. We need to open ourselves up to different possibilities to understand what else there can be. This is one of the simpler slides of cultural humility. Engage people who are different from you on a personal, experiential level. Learn to pronounce names. That's pretty simple. If you don't know how to pronounce somebody's name, don't say, well, just make your name easier. It's like, learn to do it. Talk about racism, sexism, and classism, and believe people when they speak about their experiences. Do not assume that because they're saying something that you don't agree with, that is not familiar, that it doesn't apply. Believe what they're saying because they're saying it. And approach improving your cultural competence with a beginner's mind. Pretend like you don't know anything. And there's a lot that was packed into her presentation. And bringing what she brought to it, which is, first of all, she's pretty well educated. She has a great ability to communicate. She was a reporter and an anchor for 20 years and good enough to get onto CNN. So she tells the story in a compelling way and also talks about how we can uncover what our own biases are. Because, oh, by the way, we all have them. And sometimes we know what they are, and sometimes we don't know what they are. But when we're looking at somebody and seeing other, when we're looking at somebody and we're making assumptions about them based on something from our past, then we're not giving them the opportunity to be the greatness that they are. We're not giving them the opportunity to let their light shine because we're making an assumption. We're casting something upon them. Really easy one. Don't make assumptions. Don Miguel Ruiz pointed it out, and everybody else gets to continue pointing it out. And Lisa has a story that when she went through and did some of the self-examination and the testing and the investigating her own personal biases, she discovered that she has a bias and a fear about unknown Black men. And she says, that's crazy. I love Black men. I'm married to a Black man. I've got 2 Black men as children. How could that possibly be? But when they are unknown Black men, she has a natural hesitancy and a distancing. And when she found that out, she understood that when other people have the same bias and they don't look at it, it continues to drive the way that the world is working, and what they're creating is based on those beliefs. And by understanding those and acknowledging that there's something going on there with us, we have the opportunity to transcend it and to step beyond it. So there was a lot of really deep thinking that went on at the retreat there, and a lot of the stuff was inspiring and uplifting. We did every afternoon we had sacred time, so there's an opportunity to walk on that labyrinth at Unity Village. There was a candlelight labyrinth walk, which was absolutely spectacular, and people had the chance to be frivolous, to go take a nap, to take a walk through the grounds and around the lake at Unity Village. And we also had time to celebrate ourselves and each other. This is Maddie Giuliani. He is an animal chaplain. He's actually in Monmouth County, New Jersey. He was an animal control officer for a long time, and now he's an animal chaplain with the ASPCA. And he does animal blessings. And he'll sometimes do animal blessings and he'll have 300 people with their animals lined up around the block. And we're not talking cats and dogs. People are bringing horses and tarantulas and snakes and all kinds of other stuff. And Maddie was given the Heart of Emerson Award as an animal chaplain just because he has such a spectacular story. There were all sorts of wonderful things that happened at the Anton retreat, and an opportunity for emergence and the invitation for us to emerge into something new and wonderful and great about ourselves. What's blossoming is you. What could be blossoming is you. Maybe what's blossoming is that possibility that next year you want to go to the Boundless retreat at Unity Village with Anton. It's going to be the 7th through the 11th of October. It's going to be equally spectacular in a different direction. And between now and then, the opportunity for something new and wonderful to emerge as you. Maybe it's going to be pushed by pain. Maybe it's going to be pulled by passion. Maybe it's going to be a story that's unfolding that you know exactly what is now. And maybe it's going to be a story that is still in the process of unfolding. But whatever it is, there's a light shining as you, and the invitation for you to allow that to shine even more brightly. Because you deserve it, and the world deserves it. So it is. And John, that's you. There you go.
Thank you, John. That was a great lead into our meditation. And thank you, Reverend Bill, because that truly was an inspirational talk. I appreciate it. I really like the concept of emergence. We can emerge and see, perhaps. So thinking about that, that's a pretty interesting transition from Peter, Paul, and Mary to hip hop. To give us an idea or to get us thinking about what are the possibilities. And based on what can emerge from us, that's manifested, that's seen in what emerges in the world around us. Inner peace creates the outward peace that we would like to live with. So let's get comfortable in our chairs, sit up straight, or get into a position of comfort. And that's sitting up straight. Put your feet flat on the floor. Feel yourself connected straight down to that core at the center of the earth. Imagine yourself connected up above to the stars in the universe around us. Be an astronaut of that inner space. Can you imagine that? What passions do you have? What pain needs to be resolved? What are the endless possibilities with that? We need to go within, see what we can learn, see what we can unlearn. I know nothing. Now what can I know? So let's take some slow, deep breaths. Do one, in, hold it at the top, and release. I know nothing. Now what can I know? One more deep breath. Take it in. Hold it. And release. What needs to emerge? One more breath. Hold it at the top. And release. As you go into the silence, go within. Find what has to emerge. Be that astronaut of inner space and see what comes out.
Something new is wanting to emerge. Something is giving us the urge to emerge as something new. There's a new idea. And that one divine power and presence, that one creative source that creates everything, has and continues to create each of us, and is urging that newness into being through and as us in our own unique and individual way. There's goodness, inspiration, uplift, guidance available. There is resource and possibility for this newness to emerge, to blossom, to unfold. There's good and more good pressed down and overflowing, available as each of us right now. So I claim this good. On behalf of each one within the sound of my voice, I claim this good, knowing it's unfolding. In this moment and in every moment, something new and wonderful is happening as and for and through each of us, individually and collectively, in our own way. And there's nothing that stands in the way of it. There's no force that's opposed to it. There's no other out there saying it's inadequate or not possible. Good is unfolding now. And I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful for the wonderful ways that it's coming about. I'm grateful for the stories we each get to tell. And I'm grateful to know that the law, the creative law that creates everything, is already responding. It's already saying yes. The emergence is underway. And so the deep feeling of thanks for the good that's underway, for the awareness of the process and the ability to speak this word. With a deep feeling of thanks, I release this word into that creative law. And I know it's already creating. So I let it be. And so it is. Take another deep breath in. Bring some awareness back to your body. Maybe wiggle your toes and your fingers. Shrug your shoulders. Let your awareness come back into the world as Sonic Yogi does another tune for us. Absolutely beautiful, John. Thank you, thank you, thank you. That was wonderful. So we're up to the wisdom share. I'll start with a little information share. Maddie Giuliano is a retired animal control officer, and he's an animal chaplain at the SPCA in Monmouth County. The link that I put in the chat is to his website. He adopted a ferret, and then he put it on Facebook, and then he wrote a children's book, and he is now a world famous author of the book about the most famous ferret in the world. And it surprised the hell out of Maddie as well, who, when you meet him, reminds you a lot of Joe Pesci. He's got that voice. The other gentleman was Jafon Seeley, and put both their names in a couple of times because autocorrect seems to think that Jafon is not a real name. Anyway, it is an opportunity if anybody has anything that you'd like to give voice to, or take a stand for something, or have a question about something. This is your opportunity. Go ahead and wave your hand, or raise it electronically. Breen.
Thank you. This is a wonderful, wonderful celebration. I always love when Sonic Yogi is here. The whole day is just so meditative, and I really want to figure out how we can get him to play live behind the meditation. So I know Zoom has its challenges, but
Well, we know how to do it, but it involves an airplane ticket.
well, I might have to fund that. I don't know. This has been really such timely stuff. We're doing the artist way, and going through that work and thinking about that and mining the inner space and being the inner astronaut. It just aligns so perfectly in thinking about, what I want to create and how I want to create in the world, and some stuff that's happening at work. And I had very strong loyalty to a senior director who is being shown the door. So it's like, okay, that loyalty's not there. I don't have to keep doing what I'm doing now. Not that I ever had to do anything, but it's a factor. It's a factor. And then, hearing about people that are in this teaching and they're out there doing it in the world, Jafon and Lisa, and putting that work out into the world. It's fascinating to me. And I have to, cop to something for myself in thinking about all this unrest and turmoil. And I know it goes back centuries. And I started to do some research and reading up, and I got as far as the British colonialism, and sort of carving up pieces of the Middle East. And I started to get angry and like thinking about, the impact of British colonialism on the entire world. But I need to rise above that and not dwell on that and not go into the past, but think about the now and the future, and how do we affect change. And the mindset, attitude, and belief changes the result, and so does behavior. So, and being a part of that, so it's all spinning around in my head right now. But thanks for that.
Dina.
Whew, a lot. So I have to echo everything that Breen said. Really great celebration. Bill and I were talking before celebration happened, and I was recalling a time when I was really young and a political activist, and it was the Vietnam War, and it was all about what people did and what kind of changes we had to make and what's the politics. And I mean, I have gone back to that a little bit, but the next thing that happened in my life was discovering my guru. And um, what I really learned was that it all starts with us. It's a slower path because we all come with our junk and come in with our junk, and we have to get through it and figure it out till we get to that place where we can really look at each other as one. And I was blessed to have an experience. Maybe I've had it a couple times in my life, but this was my first. When I was reading a book called Here and the Hereafter. And in this book, it talked about what happened after people passed. And it was, just this whole description. And I found that it just elevated my consciousness to the point where I would go outside. I lived in Center City. I would look at people who maybe previously I would have been threatened by or felt, scared, like, who is that person? And for this brief moment in time, I looked at everybody like we were the same. We were all the same. There was no difference there was no othering. There was no other. There was just us. And it was, the blessing of it was that I know that's a real thing. Absolutely. There is no question in my mind that if I, of just a little old me, can feel that, we all can feel it. And so that's my aspiration. That's my inspiration. So thank you for today. It was really beautiful.
Thank you. Thank you all. Karen, so Sandy, you got a thing? Is your audio on? You're just saying, you're waving. Okay. Karen, I got the offering.
New Thought Philadelphia is all about spreading the love. Our community is supported by your contributions. The gift you share helps fund our work in the world, and the way you shine, your light spreads the love. We are grateful for every way you share. We don't have a basket today, but there is a donate button on the website to make a donation by credit card, PayPal Cash App, or Venmo. You can also mail a check to our office in Ardmore. The offering affirmation is on the screen. We'll say the affirmation together. I live
in an
abundant
universe.
I am
I
one.
am
one
the
with the
infinite source of
all
all
good.
good.
I am a
I am a center of conscious
prosperity.
prosperity.
I
I
enjoy
enjoy the richness of life.
I
I
bless
bless my gift.
I
I
share
share my gift with
gratitude
gratitude and
and
joy.
joy.
know that
I
as
I know
give,
that as I give, I
I
do
do
receive.
receive.
and
And
so it
so
is.
it is. Amen.
Thank you, Karen. Thank you all. Thank you all so much. And John, one more for us, please. Thank you. Thank you again. Thank you all. Let us close with a cacophony. Go ahead and unmute your microphone. Repeat after me. I am love.
I am
I am
I am
love.
love.
I am light.
I am light.
I am light.
Love is flowing.
Love is
Love is
flowing.
Love is
flowing.
flowing.
My light is shining,
My
My
light
light
is
is
shining,
shining.
It's
and I
shining
am emerging.
and
And
I
I
am
am
and
emerging.
emerging.
And so it
And
is.
so
So
it
it is.
So it
is.
is.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Anybody want to talk about the tithing challenge or anything else? You're welcome to stick around.
Hmm.
Great service, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And
Yeah.
Hannah's with me.
Yay.
Really exciting.
Awesome.
Yeah, Joe said that she has an idea for a place on Tuesday. So this close to putting it all together.
Sounds like it'll at least be you and me and Joe.
What's that?
Sounds like it will at least be you and me and Joe.
Definitely. And if it's out,
Depending on how late you go, maybe I'll stop by for dessert or something.
okay, and if it's
I'm
out,
so sad I can't come.
if it's outdoors, it can be Sandy and maybe everybody, because outdoors changes all the rules, right?
Yeah. Wednesday is day 10 for me.
Okay.
Maybe Tuesday. Yeah, Tuesday's 10, Wednesday's the 11th day.
Okay. Well, see, we'll work it out.
Yes.
Cool.
Cool. Well, let me stop the recording.
Well, thank you, everybody. Great seeing you all.